You just realized that you needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people that you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? Well, in the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Just go to Indeed.com/BWN right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
A massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, especially these days. 8 different settings, adjustable intensity, plus it's heated, and it just feels so good. Yes, a massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, but when it can come with a car, suddenly it seems quite practical. The all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, packed with premium features like available massaging front seats, it only feels extravagant.
All right, we got a few questions from fans because we haven't potted in a while, and then I think we'll go through this and we'll call it a pod. All right. At the top, Andy, from our dear friend Sid. Eek, probably too late. She sent this an hour ago, so she has no idea that we were recording at 9. Probably too late. But any thoughts about special teams this year? No, it's been a struggle for us, right?
Man. That's opening up a can of pain.
Yeah. What's one of Wilcox's first things that he says in the Golden Era episode? It's like 9 points. Yeah. 9 point spread in 5 games, 4 or 5 games.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a coach? No.
Yeah.
We still don't have a special teams coach?
Well, technically, it's Ryan Longwell. Like, that coaches the kickers.
But he's not.
I don't think he's officially on the
special teams coordinator.
Yeah. I think he's more of like a a consultant.
It's a hell of a choice. I think it's really interesting. I mean, Shanahan has kind of done the same thing, right? He hasn't necessarily. He's been criticized a decent amount for not prioritizing special teams as much as it should have been. I think the Niners slipped there, obviously, like on the kicking side. Last year was crazy, but I think the bigger question I'd have right now, sorry not to answer it directly. I don't know if I have an answer. It's like last year was really tough, and then obviously we see the kicker that Ryan Longwell chose. What's his name? Derek Anderson? No.
Derek Morris.
Derek Morris. And
or Ryan Coe.
And like Coe graduated, but then Morris was the kicker of the future, and he transfers. Mm-hmm. So, and then we get what looks like another transfer who looks good, but like you think that it would be priority 1, 2, and 3, given that if your margin for victory is 5 wins spread across 9 points, I would imagine that it would be very important to make sure. I mean, Wilcox talks all the time about doing all the small things. He spent the whole golden era is about doing the small things that lead to bigger results, and that's really, I think, like been his MO the entire time. Which is why I think it frustrates him so much when the small things come back and really kill the team. And like that's what happened. Like last year was like the epitome of that. It was like one guy blows a gap assignment and we lose the game to Pitt. You know, it's like it just was so I guess I would take some solace in the fact that like Harsin seems like in a potentially, like, I don't know if there's a better word to say this, but like, you know, he's ruthless, and you know, and maybe that creates more of an environment where people really feel like, hey, you know, we got to deliver here because my ass is on the line. Not that I don't know if that didn't exist last year or not, but I'm not sure. It is weird to me. If you were going to course correct on Cal, you would think that we would hire someone into like a special teams coordinator type position, but I don't know if we have the spot or like what that pull else would pull away from, and I don't know. There's bigger questions.
I think the thing I'll say with that is, I think Wilcox is a competitor and a good enough football coach to know that, like, he can't plan for another season where the margins are that slim. Like, you have to plan and expect your offense to be able to score enough points and your defense to hold enough points. You'll get the occasional game where it might come down to a leg, but I don't think he goes into a season planning like, we lost 4 games last year on a total of 9 points. My point of emphasis going into that is to make up just those 9 points. I think the point of emphasis is probably I'm going to outscore the team by 41 points. Like, you know, so but that's also a double-edged sword, right? Because you can't always think like that, and you have to take some of the history that you have into account as well, which is that over his 8 years here, he hasn't really played an offensive system or had success on that side of the ball to increase those margins for error where it doesn't come down to a kicker in close games. So it's kind of both. But like last year's like a real weird anomaly because it wasn't really the special teams, like, you know, field goal blocking schemes that were an issue. It was just the kickers were missing. Yeah. But like, I don't know how you correct that if the kickers themselves are missing, but like in practice and it, you know, heading into the season, like there was nothing wrong, you know, like with like Ryan Coe didn't kick a lot before he got to Cal, but his stats didn't indicate he was going to be like that bad. You know,
he was, if anything, his stats said that he was going to be quite solid.
Yeah. So like kicking, I think is the craziest like anomaly one where it's like, it's just college kickers. And we've just had terrible luck in that regard over a few years.
After having a pretty unprecedented run of success.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, so maybe it's just the law of averages just averaging itself out, you know. So who knows? Maybe it changes this year. You know, maybe we get back into it. But yeah, it's just the unknown of kicking.
So your perspective, basically, if I'm going to distill down what you said, Rob, it's like you don't see it as something that's necessarily worth to have to invest into a positional coach, special teams as a whole. And I think at least what Wilcox is saying in a lot of that video is he said this last season in a lot of his press conferences, is when you get in the red zone, you have to walk away with 6. You can't walk away with 3.
Yeah.
I actually tend to agree with that. I also think that, like, the important thing is, like, I think last year we just walked away with 0 a lot. Like,
yeah, we like fumbled or like, we turned the ball over. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't that we like settled for 3 too often. It was actually that we just didn't get anything. And we would have like good solid turnovers and we would just get nothing. It would be in the red zone, we'd get nothing. Like too many empty additional possessions, too many empty red zone trips, stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's a really good question. And absolutely something worth revisiting. Like maybe the bigger question after this season, if it's a very frustrating season, which definitely could be, and you lose another 3 games by, you know, 3 or 2 or whatever point margin, that's going to be extra frustrating. And maybe you're like, why the hell haven't we hired somebody that can come in and actually own this and have a deliverable against it? And
yeah, I think that the job description is the biggest like indicator, right? If a special teams coordinator comes in, like, what's his job? Is his job to set up the protection schemes and the coverage schemes for punting and kicking and field goals and to set that right. And if that's the case, like, you know, Vic Soto was the special teams coach last season, but Ryan Longwell was like our kickers, like consulting coach, you know, off the field. Right. So that's kind of like where the thing is. Like, I think a lot of people, it's misplaced to say like it's a special teams coach that we need to hire, because a lot of these kicking guys, they have their own kicking coach. And, you know, you've been a part of practice too. Like, you've seen it. Like, the special team guys go off and to like Maxwell, and they do their kicks by themselves. Like, they're not on, you know, Memorial Stadium's field, like kicking field goals, unless it's their moments where they're doing like all the special teams drills. So,
for what it's worth, I just asked ChatGPT how many college football programs have special teams coordinator as a paid position. And while it can't give an exact answer on that, it did cite a 2022 article that from Football Scoop that said estimating that half of the programs at least do not employ an actual special teams coordinator. So it's like not, you know, it's not that. It's not like one of those decisions that would be like 70%.
Yeah, it's not an egregious decision to like not have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Tyler sends us, who's going to be the name no one is talking about right now, but we will be at the end of the year?
So hard for you right now. What do you think, Rob?
I think I'll go with the guy that stayed from last year, Luke Farrelly. The inside linebacker that we flipped from Stanford. I've heard some very good things about him in camp so far. And I'm very excited to see like our next good inside linebacker. Because that position next to Cade is up for grabs, you know? Like, we have Bum Jock that we brought from Colorado State. We have Harrison Taggart, who we brought in from BYU. And we have Luke Farrelly. Like, we have guys. So it's a matter of who takes that spot. And, you know, I'm inclined maybe to give it to the guy who's been in the system for a year.
You just realized that you needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people that you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? Well, in the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Just go to Indeed.com/BWN right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F-words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
Wow.
So that's a name. I really like him. I really like his measurables. Like, I really liked his high school tape too. I think he can be a good one.
Who's gonna break out on the wide receiver side? Like Keon Grace?
Yeah, I mean the hope is for Keon because he had so much we expected so much of him coming from Ohio State last year, right? And then the injury he just wasn't healthy all year long. But we did see him in spurts throughout last year, and there were moments where it looked like, oh, I guess this is kind of why we brought him in. So hopefully, I mean, look, the only thing I can say of Keon Grays is like of what I saw of him in fall camp last year. He was a very good yards after catch guy, very crisp route runner, and although he doesn't have top speed, he does have a very good change of direction and a change of speed, and that's kind of what gets him the separation that he needs. So if he can, if that's what he turns into, and he does the things that I saw in fall camp last year against NFL DBs, by the way, like, you know, he did that. He was doing things against Noel Williams. He was doing things against Marcus Harris. He was doing things against Craig Woodson. So if he can do that against that type of athlete and that caliber of defensive back now, then yeah, I'd be excited to see him.
Yeah. I think someone that I don't know how much this qualifies as completely off the grid, but my guy right now, he is my favorite number, 21, is Jacob DeJesus.
Yep.
I just think that, like, if you're going to pick anyone that's going to be not maybe that known, he's known to those of us who watch the bowl game.
Yep.
Right? He's a known. But if you didn't, then I think, you're going to see him in a lot of places. I believe he's going to be the kick returner or like punt returner.
Yeah.
And then also, just like love somebody that can get you, like, to what you're saying is like easy yards after catch. So speed is something that is very fun to watch.
Especially in the college game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Desmond James too, like the Arkansas transfer. Like, he's really fast. I haven't seen him in person, but even just going off of like the NCAA video game, like I think he's one of the top 10 fastest wide receivers in the game. So, and those guys at least do somewhat research, right? To put it within like relative ability. I think if I remember correctly, like those stats that like clock like how fast a player is going.
Yeah.
He was top 5 in the country last year, if I remember correctly. Top 5 or top 7. Like on any given play. Like he clocked the fastest miles per hour, which is crazy. So now he looks like DK Metcalf. All right, Andy. Next question from Doc Seuss 84. This one's for you. This one's directed at you.
What?
When will Andy finally listen to Oski and return to this dumpster fire platform and get a burner account so he can shitpost like any Cal football sicko should be doing? If I can make time to neglect my adult responsibilities for the Dark Lord, he needs to do his part.
Oh my gosh. I feel so called out.
Look, I need the record to state that I have sent him the password and the account access to the Golden Bearcast account on Twitter. So if he wants to go back and shitpost, he doesn't even need to make a new one. He just logs into that one and do it. But he has yet to do so, and for better or worse, it's happy Andy without social media.
It is. I just get so worried that I would be a worse, more negative version of myself. But I mean, for those that know me, certainly know that I have a troll streak within myself, and I can get going down some pretty good paths. So, do I believe that I would have a great time doing it? 100%.
Yeah. Should you be doing it? Questionable.
Probably not. I don't even know if I can say this, but like one of my buddies created I won't say his handle out loud. I don't know, does it ruin the story if I don't say it?
Don't say the handle.
Don't say the handle?
Don't say the handle.
Well, it's not a cow one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, he created one. It's hilarious. And it drives the Washington Huskies fan base absolutely bananas. I mean, it's wild. But yeah, I think I think I'm happily retired. I live on an island, and it's great.
I mean, I think it's also because like people know that you had a Twitter, but if you didn't interact with Andy while he had a Twitter, you don't know how Andy was with a Twitter. Like they don't know.
What are you saying, Rob?
They don't know that you were like, you know, the people talk about like the Calgorhythm and attacking fan bases and defending our own. Like, yeah, Andy was doing that like way before some of these accounts came to light. So, you know,
Defending the Calgorhythm is where we're at now.
well, I'm saying that you were like one of the first gen before we got the name of Calgorhythm.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. All right, we'll move on. Anthony Baran sends us, is College Game Day coming back this year? Funny enough, we actually talked about that at the beginning of the pod, so hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, you're like, hopefully you're disappointed in my response.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're good. We're fine. That's the best. That's the best. When in life, when you can be confident, like you're like, we're good. We just had it. Maybe it comes back, and maybe it's extra special the second time.
Maybe. Next one is from N. What are your thoughts on Ron Rivera's role as GM so far? So, actually, Andy, I did want to ask you about this. Like, you know, we haven't even talked about Jim Knowlton retiring and leaving the AD position, and Jay Larson and Jennifer Simon O'Neill taking the reins as co-AD for the time being, and Ron Rivera being appointed as the GM of Cal football and reporting directly to Chancellor Lyons and basically having all said direction and decision making on that front. But what do you think? I don't know. There's no real tangible decisions that he's made so far that gets to that. But like, what do you hope to see from him as the GM role? I guess is the better question.
All right. Well, first of all, let me address the 2 AD approach that we have going right now.
Temporary, by the way. Temporary. But
let me
yes.
just address that temporary approach with a quote from The Office. From Oscar Martinez. Look, it doesn't take a genius to know that any organization thrives when it has 2 leaders. Go ahead. Name a country that doesn't have 2 presidents. A boat that sets sail without 2 captains. Where would Catholicism be without 2 popes? So that's how I feel about that. I mean, yeah, I think Knowlton leaving is a blessing. I think Ron Rivera's involvement with Cal is also as much of a blessing. I think that like the fact that Kaylin came on, the friend of the pod, and gave this awesome story about her interaction with Ron and his wife when they were in Charlotte for, the NCAA championships. And I mean, everything I hear about Ron is just so positive. And when you have someone like that that's near the program, and I think like we had donors that were so excited about this and so enthusiastic about it that they were literally going to withhold funding. Like, that's amazing. Like, they understand the impact that somebody like this can have. So overall, I mean, I feel like it's been exceptionally positive. And then now, if you think about the instability that would come from an AD retiring, thank goodness we do have that. And I think it's also been better for Stanford. Like Stanford having Andrew Luck involved and having him sort of guide that, and just like ultimately having the football program's interest front and center versus like having to always be worried about what the rest of the university and all these other things. Like the benefit of focus there is very real. And I think he's an excellent, incredible ambassador for not only the football program, but just for Cal overall. And I loved I can't remember if it was a press conference or if it was an Instagram, something that I saw somewhere, like some picture, and I saw like a picture of Wilcox in the background. It was like Ron Rivera. I think it was.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's. I think it's great, and we have more to come. Like, we haven't really heard that much yet. So like, there's more to be done here. There's more to come here. and I just think like for us to ultimately like unpack as we like better understand like what Ron focuses on. How does like love to know like how do you spend your day? What are the things that keep you up at night? What are the things that you get excited about? Like what's the opportunity ahead for Cal? How do you think about the conference realignment? What do you think about like this NIL era? What do you think about the Supreme Court case? And how does that like? There's so many things that college football is at such a unique point in time, and everything seemingly is up for debate. Even the football freaking playoff format is constantly up for debate. There's nothing set in stone. It's so weird. It's unlike anything else. And you will not see this in the NFL. You will not see this in baseball. You will not see this in any other professional sport. And now college football is entering that professional sport. It doesn't have collective bargaining. So it's like, what does that mean? I mean, it's just like there are infinite number of questions that it's like we're lucky to have somebody that's as intelligent and dedicated to Cal as Ron is to go out and start to form an opinion.
Yeah, and hopefully, I think we can kind of spoil this. Hopefully, we plan to have Ron on the pod very, very soon. So, Andy, you get to answer all those questions.
You're putting it out there.
Oh, yeah. We're making this happen. So, I've already gotten the okay from the athletic department. It's just a matter of scheduling. So, yeah, we're going to make it happen very soon, and Andy's going to be able to ask all these questions to him in person over the internet.
Oh, Jesus, give me a heart attack. In person would be lit. Oh,
Yeah.
more with that. Let's do it at the stadium.
That would be cool. We'll talk on the side about that. But yeah, we got a few more to get through, and then we'll call it a pod. Gerardo says, I don't even know where to start, as this feels like a brand new era of Cal football. Who are you excited to see on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side of the ball, non-Uluwave division? Anything stand out from the new offensive scheme? I think we kind of answered that question going over just players that are kind of in the dark, but is there anyone else that you can think of at least that, you might want to think about, but on the offense or defense?
I mean, just your perspective is like that quarterback that they featured who's like a true freshman. Is he super dope or something? Like, why do you think that they highlighted him so much?
I mean, Jaron's really good. Having talked to some guys on the team about practice, once again, I haven't been able to watch practice, so this is not based on what I have seen with my own two eyes, but I've heard he is the real deal. He throws a really nice ball, easy to catch, and into the right places that a wide receiver likes to catch the ball. So that's what I've heard. We'll see who's the starter come, the last week of August when the depth chart drops. I don't think we'll even know when the depth chart drops who's going to be the starter. I bet you it's going to say Orr. But we'll see when they take the field against Oregon State at Reser. The new offensive scheme, I can't really. We don't. Once again, we're not watching practice, so we don't see any of this. But what I can say from guys who have watched enough tape on Harson's previous offensive and stuff, I think we're gonna go power run pretty hard early on. I think that's how we're gonna establish ourselves without forcing either of our two quarterbacks who don't really have that much experience throwing the ball in a collegiate game to alleviate some of that. And hopefully, I think they think that the offensive line is, one, it's bigger. Like, they're huge. Like, just looking at the roster sheet and seeing their size and weight and height, like, they're huge. So if you can do that against an Oregon State who we dominated last year at home, but we've gotten bigger in those respective points, whether it's offensive line or defensive line, like in the trenches, then we'll reestablish the line of scrimmage, we'll run the ball, the clock won't stop, we'll score some points, and maybe I think towards the end of the game or mid-game, like once you develop a little bit of a lead, then you'll start to see these guys throw a little bit more, get them some game reps of, making passing decisions and RPOs and so on. But I think having that offensive line, having a very upperclassman heavy running back room with the 3 transfers, right? In LJ Johnson and Kendrick Raphael. Like, you have 3 guys who have experienced football at various levels and have played snaps. So I think that's kind of the way we're going to go early on. Okay, next. Cal Bears Degenerate Fan. First, he says depth chart predictions across the board is probably an entire episode. That probably is. We might do that. We definitely will do that at some point as we get closer to the start of the season. Maybe we'll do more of like a depth chart breakdown once the first depth chart is released come like game week. But yeah, definitely it's an entire episode. Who from last year's team could step up as a major contributor? I mean, I think it's Luke Farrelly. From the inside linebacker spot. I think, is there anyone else that I can think of on the offense? I mean, my homer pick here is going to be Trevor on offense.
Wow, like Tron doesn't seem like he would regress, right?
Yeah, I don't think he'd regress. I don't think his ability would regress, but I just don't think he'll see the same amount of targets that he's been seeing because there's more weapons on the offensive side, or at least wide receiver wise. But I think Tron might actually end up playing the Endries role for whichever quarterback it is. Like the safety net guy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm just excited to see Cade. I'm just excited to watch Cade. This is going to be that season.
Yeah.
Right? Where we've had this now. More than a few times where like this is the Evan Weaver year.
Oh yeah.
For him.
And this is the put it all together.
That will be so incredibly fun to watch.
Next one's he has one last question. Ron said they had $14 million this year towards football. How do you think that's being utilized?
We should ask.
We'll ask him when he gets on the pod, but I think I'm pretty sure it's being used in a variety of ways, like recruiting funds, like, you know, maybe upping some of the recruiting resources, like what they send out to players and stuff. Maybe upping some of the like the food in the facility, things like that probably, or like maybe some credits to, you know, a yoga studio so guys can get stretched out and all of that, and maybe I don't know, like cryo chambers, like that's like a huge thing for recovery, right? You know, maybe they pay for some credits for all the guys to be able to use a cryo chamber studio, like, well, you know, twice a week or something like that. That's probably where I would see a lot of that 14 million being used.
I'm assuming this is of the 20 million.
Yeah,
that we get dedicated from the house.
Yeah.
Well,
the 20 million is for all sports, right? So I think they're saying it's 14 million is going to be designated for football. Yeah. That sounds right. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know, Andy, if you could think of anything else that they would use it for. NIL too, of course, but that's a given.
Yeah.
I just don't know what else they would use it for.
I think it was, is 14 enough? Yeah, that breakdown is going to be so sad. The reality is just going to go towards football and basketball. I know
pretty much
Title IX implications in that, but
you're hoping that ends up with revenue that is able to fund those other sports.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a really good. I mean, it's a great question to kind of take into a conversation with Ron and just better understand. Again, I just think there's it's a very unique point in time.
Yeah.
A bunch of things going on, a bunch of changes happening, not clear on what that actually means, and how some of these things are being deployed. So.
Yeah, there's just so much unknown, right? Because the GM era of college football literally has just started probably I'd say last year or the year before. And like you and I have followed professional sports for so long, we know what professional sports GMs do. But it's definitely not a one-to-one with collegiate sport GMs, right? So like I do wonder what the role is differently. Like I know one of the questions I want to ask him when I get him on is like he's been around in the NFL a long time and he's worked with GMs, like he knows what their role is in the NFL. How do some of those skills that he's seen with GMs translate to college, and what are things that don't really apply from the professional level down to the college level?
Yeah. Good question.
All right, next one from David, dear friend David. How will Rob Huang pump sunshine and inevitably be hopium this year? I'm here for it.
Yeah, let's hear it, Rob.
I will answer it with the next question. It actually ties in perfectly. So the next question is from Golden Bears with a Z. Why am I so optimistic / hopeful about the season despite so many unknowns with the roster?
Because of the schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you looked at that schedule? Of course you're optimistic. Here's the thing. I'm going 6-6. We'll have a prediction pod. I'm doing 6-6. We're gonna go 6-6. Nick wrote this in one of his articles last year. He's like, in no world from here on out can I predict anything besides 6-6.
Until they do better.
Until they prove us otherwise.
Yeah.
So 6-6.
That might change when we do the preview pod. Andy always fluctuates. Like come prediction pod. Like MD and I are like texting. He's like, dude, I don't think this team could go beyond 6-6. And then like come prediction pod. He's like 8-4.
Plus or minus 2 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean the strength of schedule is ridiculous. I mean it's ridiculous. It has but we don't know what UNC is going to be with Belichick.
We don't know what Duke's gonna look like too, because they had a stellar year last year, first year under what's his face, Manny Diaz.
Yes. No. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it. I think the schedule has never looked easier. So do that. Do what you want with that. But for me, I'm just taking a safe route. I'm saying 6-6. I think it'll be interesting for you, Rob, because it's like the hopium and the optimism, and it's really like when you're at fall camp, you're seeing these players, you're seeing the offense, and you're also seeing one team. And so the hardest thing you could possibly do is take a 10,000 foot view, because you don't have that lens, nor do you have that benefit of like that intense focus on any other team. Mm-hmm. So of course it builds this optimism, it builds this excitement for like what you're going to see this team actually do. And like that's what we've seen, you know, whether it's anyone that's covering fall camp, right? You could list anybody and they would go through the same experience and come out and probably add like 1 or 2 wins to what would be like a standard call. But I think this year with you not having access, like I'm actually quite curious to see if that reduces down, you know, a potential prediction from what would normally be, you know, our 8-4s and 9-3s to more of like 7-5, 6-6.
It probably does. And I think so the battle in my head until we do that predictions podcast is going to be what overrules what. Is it the strength of schedule that overrules, or is it the optimism that we strike gold on one of these transfers?
Yeah. And
right?
also,
Like,
I know it's like
that's the weight that I'm going to have to juggle.
It's so difficult. I mean, I'm sure everyone gets this to some degree, but like it's so difficult to predict now. It is unprecedented to have your entire running back room all leave. It is unprecedented to have these teams that are turning over, and it's not just Cal. Like, there's literally other teams that are turning over their full rosters. But we have 2 brand new quarterbacks. We have no returning running. Like, we have very few returning running backs. We have almost no returning wide receivers. We have a new tight end. We have a new offensive coordinator. We don't have a defensive coordinator.
We do.
They're co.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Sorry, I mean, like we don't have like a single.
Oh, like one guy. Yeah.
I just like, how can you make any prediction until you see 4 weeks? Like, I think to set proper expectations, we will probably be in a wait and see mode for 4 weeks, and the strength of schedule will help with that, because I don't actually think there's too big of a test.
Minnesota's probably the one.
Yeah,
Minnesota's probably the best litmus test.
For sure. For sure. Agree.
So, yeah, Minnesota's definitely going to be the one where we can. I think after that third game is where we can kind of be like, all right, are we still sitting at 6-6, or are we changing it to 4-8, or are we changing it to 9-3? I think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, I think him being optimistic and hopeful is because of the unknown. It's like you're optimistic for some of these players. I think also the one thing that Andy, you just mentioned, which is like the transfers and stuff, right? Like if we brought in subpar transfers, I don't think people would be this optimistic or hopeful. But we brought in guys that either have produced elsewhere or like were highly sought after in the portal, or like in Jaron's case, like, was a 5-star quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's probably why this optimism builds. Also, this is a side conversation we need to have at some point, but if you told me 8 years ago when we hired Justin Wilcox, his first 5-star player for any position that he would recruit would be a quarterback, like that, I would have told you you're crazy. But that's where we're at right now. So I think that's where the optimism builds, is the strength of schedule and all of that compounding, despite the unknown of what this team is going to look like.
Well said.
Last question is from El Nino. I am your Oski Padre. Says, how does the O-line look? You know what? What you think of the O-line is exactly how we think of the O-line, because we haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
He does give an addendum. I'm optimistic because last year they didn't have a dedicated offensive line coach. Balesh was too busy being the O coordinator. This year we have one of the best offensive line coaches in Coach Anaye, who we brought in.
Has to get better.
I have faith. As we all know, football games are won on the line of scrimmage.
At least, I love the update from you that they're like bigger, stronger, more intimidating. We think that there's a better coach there. It's hard to think that it could get worse.
Yeah.
It was pretty rough last year.
It was rough.
I'm seeing up and to the right. I really think it's tough to see it regressing any worse than where we were already at.
Yeah, and we were playing some of the toughest like front sevens as well, and we're probably not going to be seeing that as much this year. Like everyone talks about like the UNC game being the big one, but like everyone's overlooking Duke.
That's true.
Everything I've seen and everything I've read of Duke is that defense and that front seven is for real. And so like that's the game that like that's not a trap game in my mind, but it's a trap game for the fans to overlook it. Yeah. To be like, oh, it's Duke. Like they're good at basketball. They're not good at football.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Everyone thinks Duke's a basketball school, but
they went 9-3 last year, folks. Like
yeah.
it's not.
Mike Elko was there, right? Before Manny Diaz.
Yeah. And last year was Manny Diaz's first year, and he took that team to 9-3. So insanity. Who knows? Maybe that's us this year. But like it's just once again the unknown.
Well, hey, there it is. 9-3 already came out.
I mean, it's the strength of schedule. That's
Wrap it up, Rob.
That's
We're wrapping
it
it up on that note.
Right,
9-3. You heard it here first.
You heard it
Rob
here first.
himself.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for us here on the Golden Bear Cast. If you are listening to us, you know where to find us. You can find the written stuff over at rightforcalifornia.com, and you can get at us on Twitter at Golden Bear Cast. You can find us via email, goldenbearcast@gmail.com. Some things to look forward to in the next coming weeks. Andy and I, of course, as we kind of spoiled, is hopefully we'll have a conversation with Ron Rivera very, very soon. We also will have some, hopefully we'll be able to schedule some other podcasts with some of the other coaching staff, a part of Cal football. And the basketball guys on Right for California and I will have another podcast up probably in the next couple weeks. going down the roster and going through the non-conference schedule that they released just I think a week and a half ago. So you'll have basketball content too. Like everything is on the table and on the horizon. So get ready, folks. It's football season. You can smell the charcoal in the air. You can smell the shotgunning of beers.
The Malort.
You can smell the Malort and taste the Malort, which is disgusting. And yeah, football's back, baby. And as always, go Bears.
Go Bears.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip.